Hi everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how I made a card using our new delightful Wildflowers layering stencils. You can see we have etchings on each stencil. This is stencil 1 out of 3 of this set. You have the first layer of the blooms on the top right hand portion of the stencil, and then the yellow centers on the lower left hand portion of the stencil. We're going to use our Ruby Collection layering inks to blend our stencils. For the first layer of the bloom, we used our rose quartz ink, and then for the yellow centers, we're using our amber citrine ink, and we're using our standard size brush for the blooms, and then for the yellow, I'm just using our little mini brush. For stencil 2, I'll use our soft garnet dye ink and our standard size brush, and I'm going to blend the entire stencil with this ink color. Then I'm going to place stencil 3 down. For the third layer of the blooms, I'll use our red Sangria hybrid ink, and then for the foliage on the lower left corner, I'll use our Meadow ink and our mid-size brush. And now our blending is complete. I'm going to trim this panel into a square, and then I'm going to die cut everything with the coordinating dies. Our delightful Wildflower stencils has a coordinating stamp and coordinating dies that were released previously. So the layered stencils are new, but the stamp and the dies are not new. But everything is available to ship immediately. So how awesome does this bloom look? It's just really satisfying to see the die cuts. Once I finished die cutting everything, I went through my drawer of framed scraps. I have all these scraps that I've accumulated from my previous cards, and I decided to go through this drawer, and I found this gray double stitch frame, and I thought that the gray would look perfect on my project because gray looks really nice with pink. Next, I used the 4th largest die in our A2 nested simple dies to cut out a white panel that I'm going to use to back that gray frame. Then I took a piece of scrap brown cardstock and I trimmed it down to an A2 panel. I used our anti-static powder puff tool to prep that panel because we're going to emboss this with our modern Plaid 6x6 inch photopolymer stamp. I inked up the stamp with some embossing ink, laid down my brown A2 cardstock panel. I used a Baron to apply some nice even pressure across the panel to get a nice impression. And then I spooned on some silver glitter embossing powder, and then I hit the panel with my heat gun, which melted all of that beautiful shiny powder. And I'll just give you guys a moment to admire the process. I'll probably clip this and use it as a short or a reel or something because it's just too pretty not to share on its own. So next I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch on the long and short side of my panel, and then that earlier white panel that I die cut, I added some ink blending with our bright emerald dye ink and our wide flat stencil brush, and then I wanted to add some warm brightness, so I used our lemon drop dye ink and our standard size brush to add some yellow onto that panel. Next, I glued down my embossed plaid background onto a white A2 panel, and then I glued my gray frame onto that blended panel. And then this blended frame or blended panel is going to get glued onto the plaid background. And now I'm going to start arranging my florals. I added some dimensional foam tape to each of my pieces, and then I'm just going to start arranging them onto my panels. I'm going to cut off a piece of this floral die cut and tuck it behind the first floral die cut that I placed onto the panel. And then once I finish placing the 3 blooms, I just start tucking in pieces of the foliage and the little floral bits. At this point, I needed some extra bits, something extra. So I used our mini leaf cluster stencil. I blended this, and now I'm just going to fussy cut it. What's great about this stencil is that it's not just one long floral leaf cluster, it's actually 2 clusters. So I separated the clusters, and I'm just going to start tucking these behind my florals. Now, our mini leaf cluster stencil is a part of our Black Friday specials. Head over to our blog to see all of the details of our Black Friday specials. It's a really good one this year. I hope you guys will check out the blog. I'll link it in the description box below. So I also added another little floral bit from a die cut that I created earlier, and I just tucked that along the top cluster. And then the sentiment is from our Easy Expressions Just Because set, which I had a bunch stamped and die cut, and they were on my desk and the colors matched, so I added that to my card. And now I'm using one of our new rhinestone colors to my card, and then I did the flip test to make sure there were no loose rhinestones, and now my card is complete. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. I'll be updating it regularly. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.